There's an organizational feature inside of the layers palette that really helps out a lot, especially as you start to have more and more layers inside of your layers palette. It's called layer grouping, and essentially you can think of them as folders. They're like folders on your computer. You'd never throw everything onto the desktop. You'd most likely start to create folders and file things in there. You can do the same thing with layers. So the way we get there is if you go to the bottom of the layers palette, you'll see there's a little icon. It looks like a folder, and it's called create a new group. When I click on it, it makes a folder in the layers palette, but right now there's nothing in the group. So to get something in there, just click and drag, and you'll see that little visual indicator. See that line, that solid line? And that means you can let go, and now there's a layer in the group. I can collapse that group or expand it. I can drag more layers inside of it. You can see that little line appears again, and that lets me know those layers will appear inside of the group. All right. Now, why would you use this? Well, for starters, I can collapse this group, and now my layers palette is not quite as large as it was before. So you can put elements, design elements that are similar to each other into a group. In this example here, in more of a graphic design or a layout type of an issue like we have, we're putting design elements in here. I can turn it on and off. It's got visibility, so I can turn everything in the group off, which is pretty cool. So I'm kind of breaking out logical parts of my image. If you're using this in photography, maybe portrait retouching, you could put anything to do with the eyes into a group. You could put anything to do with the skin or any of the facial smoothing or whatever that you'd have there. You can put that into the group. You could put hair. You could put any cloning or anything. You could put those into groups too. So you got a lot of different uses for this. Now let's go down to another one. We'll create another group. An easy way to do it is just click on one layer, hold down the Shift key, click on another layer, and then instead of clicking on that group icon, just press Command G on the Mac for group or Control G on the PC, and that'll group them together as well. All right, so now you can group everything into a folder. If you double click on the name, I can call that text, and that means that inside of this group is anything that has to do with text in my image. I can turn it on and off, and again, expand it and look inside of it if I need it. Now, the other thing that's cool about a group is when I click on the group name, I can use the move tool, and I can move everything that's in that group together. It all moves as one big object, even though I haven't linked anything together. The other neat part about it is that when I expand the group, and I go down here to say the pen, remember how I linked those together? Well, now I can just move that pen. So it's not moving everything in the group. It's just moving whatever layers were inside of that group. So make sure you explore them. If you ever get to the point where you've got something in a group and you don't want it to, you can just right click and choose ungroup layers, and it essentially just gets rid of the folder and leaves the layers like they were before you put them in there. But it's definitely a good thing to get to know, because as you start adding more and more layers to your image, it's going to get pretty crazy to have to go through this layer palette and try to figure everything out. So the more organized you can be by putting things into groups, the easier you're going to make it on yourself.